The 2024 ACC preseason media poll comes out, and Boston College gets no respect. What a surprise.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. The ACC Media Day concluded last week. We now have the ACC Media Poll, and no surprise if you're a Boston College fan, but they get no respect. Get your Rodney Dangerfield hat on. We're going to talk all about that. Additionally, there's two big men's basketball items that we're going to talk about on today's show, including games against UMass and another 4-star for Earl Grant. He's cooking with fire. We'll get into those in segments 2 and 3. All right, let's kick this off now. The ACC Media Day happens last week. The media there, they all vote for who is going to be, their predicted order of results in the ACC in football. And I had no expectations that Boston College would get any sort of recognition in this. I expected Florida State, Clemson, and NC State in Miami to get most of the top four spots, and that's exactly what happened. But Boston College, out of 17 teams, they were, drum roll please, number 14. A team that went 7-6 last year, that beat teams on this roster, this conference, were placed 14th. What's up with that? Well, I could tell you what's up with that. Boston College gets no respect every single year. If you were a Boston College fan, if you were around during the Tom O'Brien years, when every year the Eagles would end in the top 25, you remember those preseason polls the next year would give Boston College no respect. So this is nothing new. This is exactly what happens every single year. You can look at Thomas Castellanos and the fact that they beat SMU to end the season, and they have a new coach that should put them up to another level. The media down there does not care. They're Boston College. It's become a running punchline, and it's now it's pathetic because they're a team that went 7-6 last year. They beat a top 25 team in a bowl game, and still you see fans, the media, using them as a punching bag. While Syracuse, and I'm going to use them again because they irritate the heck out of me, they're up above Boston College with their head coach that's Jeff Hafley 2.0 in Fran Brown. Why? They play an easier schedule, but they don't play much of an easier schedule when it comes to conference games. And that's all that really should matter when you're doing conference alignment, because I still believe that Bill O'Brien is going to outcoach Fran Brown and lap him when they play later in the season. Why is Pitt higher than Boston College? Pitt beat BC last year, but you can thank the old head coach for that one because BC was not prepared for that game. Bill O'Brien will not let a bad Pitt team beat BC to end this season. Pitt did nothing last year to get themselves ready to take that next step up for this year. If any coach had the wherewithal to put a game plan together that didn't allow Pitt's horrific offense to run up and down on them, they would have easily beat BC. BC would have easily beat them last year. But you had Hafley. You had the team not in the right spot. They lose. Don't expect that to happen this year. These are both teams, Syracuse and Pitt, that are placed higher on this ranking list than you are. You have Cal ahead of you. You have Duke, who just lost their head coach and replaced him with Manny Diaz, a guy who has been, run off at Miami. He's a decent coordinator, but has never showed he can be a head coach. He gets Malik Murphy, and now all of a sudden Duke is higher than Boston College? Excuse me? I don't know. I'm not sold on this. I get it. Boston College has a tough schedule ahead of them, but they have a good coaching staff. They have talent in front of them, and they have, I think, the right culture to win a lot of games this year. just because they're Boston College, and that's the team that for some reason has become, well, they've earned it, that they become a punching bag for the definition of mediocrity, should not mean that a team run by Fran Brown should be higher than you. A team that is run by, I mean, if you want to get excited about Fran Brown, and believe me, he's like the darling of the media right now, go for it. If you want to get excited about Manny Diaz, what's up with that? He's shown, I mean, nice guy, but has he shown you anything? But all of a sudden, Duke is in a better spot than BC. I'm not buying that. And then, as I said before, Pitt is in a spiraling death spiral right now. And they have a quarterback who I would argue is one of the worst in the ACC, who doesn't have the upside that Thomas Castellanos has. And all of a sudden they're higher. I mean, I don't know. But then I go back to something that I tweeted. And when I get myself worked up about this, I have to repeat this mantra to myself. This is a preseason poll. Who cares? This is a bunch of media people down, listening to a bunch of coaches and players spout off a bunch of, nonsense that doesn't mean anything. And, having cocktails and dinner with, each other, and then voting on things that they have no concept of what's actually happening. But I got to give credit. Folks have been asking me. I saw a lot of people tweet me about it. There was one person that voted Boston College number 1. I promise you, folks, that was not me. I was not there. I don't financially going down to ACC Media Days at this point. With the work that I do, is not financially worth it to fly down and pay for multiple days of hotel rooms. It was not me. I don't know who voted for Boston College, but good for you. I would never. I'll tell you this. I love that people credit me and they're like, go AJ. It wouldn't have been me. I would never have voted for Boston College number 1. I would have voted for Florida State, which most people voted for. But I still thought it was hilarious because so many people on social media got so mad about this. They voted for them. I think it was Cal, and maybe someone voted for Duke, but there were like 3 random teams and people got really upset about it. But then I go back to my mantra. It's a preseason poll. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. Okay? So when we see the all ACC team that's probably going to be released this afternoon, it's a preseason poll. It doesn't matter. Who cares? So don't get yourself worked up over this. It's preseason football. No one's playing right now. It's a reason for people just to get upset about nothing. Now, let's turn the page and we're going to go to basketball, where I have 2 big news items, including a 4-star recruit you're going to want to hear all about in just a moment. If you know me, folks, I love going to games. I love going to baseball games. I went to the Woo Sox today. It was about 1,000,000,000 degrees. I lasted 4 innings with my kid. But I love using GameTime to get myself tickets, because GameTime gets you the best prices, all-in prices, view from your seats, and their lowest price guaranteed. They take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. So get over to GameTime. You're going to a Red Sox game. You're going to Camden Yards or Yankee Stadium. They have the tickets there. You'll see exactly what you're going to see. It's the best part about using GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. And I want to tell you guys something. I have even more people joining our subtext program, which is a way to connect. It's our Boston College Eagles Nest super fan program, where you can get connected with me anytime you want to. Some of you guys send me a message on Twitter. I don't have the time to respond to everybody. And you guys are all great, but I have a lot of things going on. On subtext, you can get messages from me. I sent out videos. I'm going to do another video hopefully soon that go above and beyond what we do here at Locked On BC. So you get additional content. Right now, the first 30 people are going to get it free for 6 months with the code Locked On BC 30. Sign up is in the code. The info is in the description of the show. I hope you guys sign up. It's only $4.99 a month after that. It's like buying me a cup of coffee. Join up. You'll like it. So, anyways, Boston College men's basketball. Earl Grant is on fire right now. He landed Akbar Wahid just last week, a 4-star guard. He landed high 3-star center Jack Bailey from Blairstown, New Jersey, around the 4th of July. And today he added he's in the process of potentially landing Matthew Abel, a top 70 recruit. And today he landed a composite 4-star recruit in the top 150 in Caleb Steger. Caleb Steger comes to Boston College from Texas. He goes to a Dallas Jesuit. He's a 3-star on their 247, but number 32 nationally, and had an amazing run with the summer assault in the Adidas AAU circuit. He's incredible. This is another major get for Boston College, as Steger had a strong offer list that included Cal, Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Wichita State, and some smaller schools like Oral Roberts in North Texas. Earl Grant is he's on an absolute tear right now on the recruiting trail. I don't know if this is a change in NIL. I don't know if this is just now that they've had some success, they make the NIT. He has landed 2 4-star recruits in the last 3 weeks. He has the number 6 recruiting class in the entire country. And yes, I don't expect it to stay that way. Yes, there's going to be schools like Duke, who I'm sure is lower, and the people going after Blue Bloods, they're going to jump up. But this, on paper, could become Boston College's best recruiting class of all time. If they land Matthew Abel, it definitely will be. But right now, even with what you have, the 3 recruits, the 3 I mentioned, Steger, Jack Bailey, and Akbar Wahid, it's on paper just right about where I would expect one of their best classes to be. I would say this is going to compare to the class a couple of years ago where guys just didn't work out, where you had 4 stars in Donald Hand and Armani Mighty, but adding in Chaz Kelly, and they had Prince Ligby in there too. This class could be as good as that class, and hopefully play better on court too, right? Because that class, you have Chaz Kelly and Donald Hand still on the roster, and you're hoping they're going to continue to evolve. But Armani Mighty and Prince Ligby both flamed out. But on paper right now, this class is on fire. So I mentioned NIL. What's something else that could be helping getting a guy like Caleb Steger? I go back to, interestingly enough, in his interview, you can check it out on 247 on my site. He mentions he wanted to go to a Jesuit school. I don't think I've ever heard a recruit in any sport go to Boston College and in their interview say, I wanted to go to another Jesuit school. That's kind of a cool thing, right? But I also go to the Hogue Pavilion. I think I go back to this because I think it's a big deal. And I think the combination of that, I think BC's NIL program, and we may talk more about that soon, and the New Balance deal, it looks better and better every single day because that company, which was the joke of, dad shoes, blah, 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 they're becoming a hip commodity. And I think getting in on the ground floor with them was a great move for Boston College. All of those are helping Earl Grant do more on the recruiting trail and land big time recruits, because all of these recruits that they've landed, all of them had big offers. They, could have gone to a bigger program, and they chose Boston College. And this goes back to that Matthew Abel thing too, right? Because he's the gem of all this. If Boston College can land him, this program is taking a drastic change in a direction I never thought they'd be able to get back to. They've got a lot of work to do because, of course, Abel, who's a guy that was averaging like 35 points per game in the AAU circuits and on those club circuits, he he's got offers from Miami, Michigan, but he's got BC in his top 8. And I saw Eric Bossy and Adam Finkelstein of 247 saying Boston College is right there with them. His dad went to Boston College. I am very impressed with the way that Earl Grant has rebounded and got this recruiting class back into shape. And I look at guys like, on their roster, Steger is from Texas. That is Jim Molinari, probably a special right there, one of their assistant coaches. But Steve Smith, he came here. He's an assistant coach that they hired from Florida State, who came to Boston College as a recruiting guru. I wonder how much he's helped, because he comes in and all of a sudden BC's recruiting class is just blowing up. So I have a feeling he has, I don't think Steger mentioned Smith in his interview, but I wonder how much he has in terms of recruiting. Now, I want to read you Steger's scouting report. This is from last year, though, so this is a little bit of time. This is we're going to wrap it up this part of the episode. Steger is a team-oriented, skilled shooting guard. He comes in at 6'4" as a shooting guard, who plays under control and makes good decisions on the floor. He's not the most athletic, but is very fundamentally sound in the way he goes about his business in the offensive end. Steger is a streaky shooter who bases his game from beyond the three-point arc. He's comfortable in the catch-and-shoot game and is also a threat with his long ball and transition. He knows how to play and is bound to flourish in an offensive structure at the next level. No action is forced when it comes to Steger's game. There are times where he could stand to be more aggressive, but he is who he is and is comfortable playing off of great talent by letting the game come to him. Another great get for Earl Grant. In our final segment, I'm going to talk about an upcoming matchup that folks have been talking about for years and is finally going to happen. We'll get into all of that in just a moment. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. With superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're in speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black here. Are you still watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? What are you doing? You got to turn down the volume with all that shouting. Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you your can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon TV's channel app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black. We're wrapping things up here on the show. Before we get into that, I want to thank every everydayer out there who makes Locked On BC your daily habit. If you're doing this while you're working out or on the way to work, thank you so much. I hope I give you the Boston College news that you need to get yourself to be one of those knowledgeable BC fans, because that's the goal of this podcast. Thank you for listening. Now, the BC basketball news was buzzing, not just with the Caleb Steger commitment, but earlier in the day, John Rothstein of was it Hoops Report. He's got a new site, College Hoopers Report, I think it is. I said on yesterday's show, he's a knowledgeable guy. He said that Boston College has now scheduled a neutral site game with UMass starting next year. This should finally silence the UMass fans that have been blowing up my Twitter, that have been blowing up my show comment section with the comment that Boston College has been ducking UMass. This was formerly known as the Commonwealth Classic. It's been played at a whole bunch of different places, mostly at BC and at the TD Garden, but has not been played since 2014 when UMass won. The Eagles own this. They have a slight edge. I shouldn't say own. They have a slight edge in the series, 10-9. And I have to say, I have been an advocate for this game to return for years, because I don't care about seeing BC play teams like St. Louis. I know they're Jesuit. I still don't care. teams like VCU, South Florida. I know I think they played Cal a couple years ago. They play these random out of conference games that are not in the Northeast, and I miss those. I'm a guy that used to go to, when I was a student there, had season tickets when they were in the Big East, and I loved watching them play teams like Georgetown, teams like Providence, even teams like UMass. And I think that is a lost rivalry that should have been revitalized. I have no idea why these games have not happened. You ask UMass fans, it was because BC are chicken. I don't know if that's the case. I don't care if that's the case, but I'm just glad it's happening again because it's good for basketball. It gets eyeballs on a game. It makes an out of conference game something with a little bit more stakes. We don't know where this game is going to happen. If it's a neutral site game, I'm going to guess it's TD Garden. We don't know that yet. It's a neutral, it's neutral. It could be anywhere, but that seems like it would be a logical place for them to return to. In terms of RPI and stuff like that, it doesn't really do all that much different than the other games, but people are going to watch. It's going to pack it. It's going to have a much better atmosphere than some of these other games that they've played. And I'm glad it's happening. I would love to see this happen with more teams. Every offseason, they should play more teams. Like they're playing VCU this year. Maybe that has to do with it's a bigger game in New York. But I would love to see games against Harvard and Providence and maybe UConn, URI, Northeastern, BU. Those games should be on the schedule more often. And I would honestly go, this is a whole other episode, but the ACC and most of these conferences need to cut back on the conference games, and let more out of conference, cut 3 back. I think when they go back, they went up 2 a couple years ago. Go back to it because I would rather see, BC play some of these out of conference teams during their out of conference schedule. So that's going to wrap things up. If you guys like my show, join our subtext. Notes are in the comments. Follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247 and check out my work on Eagle Insider. Make sure you bookmark that page, folks. If you're a fan of this podcast, you have all your information there. There's VIP stuff. You can become a VIP. It's all there for you. I hope to see you all again tomorrow. We'll have more news. I went into the show again, not expecting to talk more than the poll, and there was so much other stuff that came up that we had to talk about. And that's what it is. That's what Locked On BC is about. Every day we have stuff that is you as BC fans need to know about. So make sure you like and subscribe this wherever you get your podcast. Hit the subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you again for tomorrow's episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.